welcome you to this. Oh, I gotta fix that one. Okay. And I'm doing this. My computer crapped out, so I'm just gonna say that straight up front. And and I am doing this on my iPhone and my iPad so that I have a backup. So, welcome to Claudia Carabba Spirit Advisor, and I will also be posting it on Ask Claudia What Would CJ Do? And CJ is my nickname. It's easier than all that other stuff, right? So you can call me CJ in your comments or anything else. Now, the other thing, I don't seem to have comments available to me right now. Let me see live chat. It says everything's visible. So first of all, thank you for joining me today. It's a real pleasure to have like-minded spirits get together in this way, just to chat and to find out where you're at on your soul's journey here on this earth walk, and to find out what others are going through, what they've been through, what's happening at this time in our expansion process and in the ascension of humanity, the planet, all of the energies and frequencies here on the earth and throughout the universe. You are part of a really, really big deal here on the earth at this time. So, first of all, I want to thank you for joining me. Be sure and put a comment in as to what city around the world that you're in, and if this time doesn't work very well for you, put a time that is best for you, before work or after work or whatever. I'm going to do my best to find a middle ground, a win-win for everybody. First of all, today I want to talk a bit about myself and what any questions you have about me. uh, my the best way for me to describe myself is I'm in my 70s, and I was born knowing things that there's no way anybody could. And in fact, when I was growing up, my mother would say things like, how could you possibly know that? And by the time I was a young teen, she pretty much was aware that I was more than even I knew I was. I just thought it was normal. I think all the way back to when I was 9, 10, something like that. And must have been 11 because Grandpa had died. And we were I was overhearing a conversation with adults. And I mentioned to Mom later, I said, we're designed to last 150 years. How come we're not? Because Grandpa died at, I think, 72 years old or something. And Mom looked at me and said, well, how in the world would you know that? And it was like, you know, how would I not know it? It's just stuff that was uh, imprinted within me at the time, I guess. So things like that. My soul's journey has been from the time I was obviously very little, clear through to the present. And I will tell you that about, uh, well, in 1997, I went to school, changed jobs. There's a whole long story, and I have videos about my life's journey from clueless to awareness that you can go back all the way back to September of 2023 is when I started recording videos about my journey. But in 1997, I went to a massage school, and then I went into holistic medicine, stayed there for a couple of years, went into holistic medicine, became many, you get a lot of certifications for all kinds of different things, including, nutrition and structural release therapy, colonics, and massage therapy, and became a Reiki master teacher during that time. The process was very rapid for me, and by the time I left in 19 no, the end of 1999, I was being called healer. Now, I didn't exactly know what that meant at that time because those were new terms for me. You know, it wasn't, I had never thought about reincarnation. I'd seen the term, but I did not know what it meant. I'd heard about karma. I had, seen that or read about it, but I didn't know what it meant. There's all kinds of things that we can talk about here, which is what my intention is for this channel. The channel is intended that like-minded spirits or the curious who want to know more can get together and share their experiences, their growth, their challenges, what they may be stuck on, and expansion systems, and the symptoms of expansion as well, because the growth into this new era that we are in is really, really challenging. I can tell you that. So my channel, the Claudia Carabba Spirit Advisor, is founded on the fact that from the time I was very little and had sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental, emotional abuse, and that persisted into my early 20s. I did not know I had suppressed everything so deeply. And because a child doesn't have coping mechanisms, it's just, I just like checked out and went out to lunch during all of those episodes. And so it wasn't until into my middle to early 40s when let's see, when did I start that? I became a hypnotherapist in 1998 and a master hypnotherapist in 1999. And in 2000, in the early 2000s, well, it was 2002, I believe, that I became one of Dr. Michael Newton's first students uh, to go and take his training in life between lives. So, up to that point, I had been doing soul retrievals, um, I mean, so much stuff. Um, Entity attachment releases, calling in portions of soul, everything from fear, repressed emotions, and all of that sort of thing. But in his work with the life between lives, it becomes the life of the soul. And I'm honored to say that I was called to be in that class because I had been doing that work already. So, and Dr. Michael Newton is famous for his books, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. So if you get a chance, look those up. Now, I'm here to help facilitate in whatever way I can, answering your questions, guiding you through any processes you need. We'll work together, I think, as one, because I think everybody can benefit. My stories, beginning in that September of 2023, have to do, and your life is the same way. It is not about the story. When you're looking for the meaning to something, the story is an indicator, it's a pointer, but you have to get behind what the problem is. If you feel betrayed, there's something behind that, and you have to get back to that. Now, you can say, well, that guy said he was going to do something, he didn't do it, and he did that 15 times before I finally said, you're out of here. Well, why did you allow that 15 times? Why not the first time, saying, whoa, wait a minute, I deserve better than that. So then you have to get back a little bit deeper and a little bit farther. And that's one of the things that I hope that we can do, because I can facilitate some creative visualizations, some meditations, and some things that will trigger some answers for you. If you want one on one service, that's also a possibility. And that information is linked to my website, how you can, and how you can contact me. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about my journey of going from clueless to awareness, because seriously, everything gets buried is hidden by your subconscious. The only way we know that it's hidden is because stuff ekes out. You know, it's like if somebody makes you angry, if if and it's triggering resentment, or if it's triggering the sense of betrayal, or I don't deserve that behavior or whatever. um, that's that is what we want to get to, and that I'm here to help you get to as well. So the last 8 years for me in particular, now my life, I feel it's interesting. I think yours is too. But it is just a bunch of stories, unless you can look at, and that's the important thing here. You know, go look at one of my stories, and you'll kind of get a sense of what was happening for me, and how eventually I come to change it. Not every story is going to do that, because the first, I would say, 20 to 25 years, stuff happens, but you really don't recognize what's going on. And I'll just give you an example of that. Oh gosh, I had gone to my mother when I was 30, because my childhood was battered, bruised, and abused, and I was used to there was it was a big family, big old world Italian family, lots of happiness and lots of not so much happiness. But I was really used a lot to take care of the younger kids, and I went to her about age 30 to see about getting an apology. That's all I really wanted, was an apology, for how things had gone on in my life, and I said that to her, because she wasn't responding in a way that was actually getting to that point, but I was leading right up to it. Don't I deserve an apology? And she said, well, what was I to do? That's how it was. Just things were that way. We didn't have a choice. And that is a truth. However, there's a piece of you inside. This is one of our challenges. A piece that's inside that says, yeah, but I deserve an apology. I deserve to have a better life. I deserve to not be treated, how I was being treated. Anyhow, I left, went home, stopped for something, picked up a paper. As I got home, I opened up the paper, and there was a dear, I'm going to say Dear Abby, it might have been Inlanders, but in there, and it was a woman, 30 years old, the very first story, who had a similar circumstances to me, and was really, upset that she had never gotten an apology, and that things had gone the way they went. And the answer, Dear Abby, said, oh, my dear, I'm so sorry that had to happen to you. And I thought, I put the paper down. I went, yeah, now was that so hard? Was that difficult to say that? And then I picked it up to reread. I'm glowing, in that, yeah, gloating, I should say. And the her next line in the response is, so you're 30 years old now. When are you gonna let go of that? When are you gonna let go of it and move on? And I just immediately felt the impact of those words. I'm hanging on. This is what anger, hatred, betrayal, all of those things that bring you down and drop your energy down, hold you in a place where you can't move forward. You're stuck in that past. And when she said, so, when are you going to get over it? And so that is how the universe works for me. That's how God, I'm going to use that term interchangeably with Source, Yahweh, Buddha, um, Creator, great spirit. It's whatever term you have for that something bigger than you or me that's at work on our behalf out there. So this is really addressing star seeds, light workers who are energy workers that work with the energies on this planet to keep your energy up and not allow it to drop or stay. And you don't want it to stay in the toilet very long, I can tell you that. And so the years that you are that we have as light workers, um, energy workers, star seeds, indigos, even the golden children and the crystalline now. All these are things that we're going to address in the time that's ahead of us over the next sessions. And so anything that you have that you want to address, please put in the comments. And over the next couple of days, I'll gather those up and we'll start putting together a little series of things that we can do to address those. So we'll talk about anything and everything. There is no subject off limits. So I'm in my 70s. My abuse started at 18 months old and continued into my early 20s. And it was then that I just left the family. And yeah, big old world Italian household, 6 brothers who beat up on me, who weren't very kind to me quite often. But that's the the let's do it this way. If you can imagine yourself sitting up there on a cloud, looking down as a soul, looking down on the earth and thinking to yourself, gosh, I sure want to get back down there and see what I can do. And your main guide comes, he's been standing there, he, she, it. We all have guides and guardians. We all have them. And that is part of the job that we have ahead of us, is beginning to learn to sense and connect with those divine influences that are here to help us. But you're sitting up there, you're looking down at the earth and you're saying, oh my, that planet, our whole planet's in trouble. What can I do? And your guides and your star family and those beings of the divine beings that are yours to help you with the process at this time on this planet uh, come to your side and they say, let's take a look at that. You sure you want to go back there? It's the hardest job there is to do in the universe. Makes me emotional every time because this is not an easy place to be at this time. There is so much going on, so many battles, and some of the battles are within us. And so that's what I'm really here about and for. So as they're putting your life together up there, what I'm getting to, we can go into that in more detail in another session, but what I'm getting to here is that you're here by agreement. You're here at this time, living the life that you had intended to live at this time for your growth, expansion, to expand your awareness and understanding, to learn what you can do about the things that aren't going so well, and what you can do to change that. So we have to walk first, right? Babies crawl and they stand up and then they walk and then they run, and sometimes they run into things. And part of that, this life is doing that. It's running into the things that we didn't think we wanted, or why am I encountering this? And so this last 8 years for me, and I was told when I finally got down to, is this really happening? Am I ever going to get out of this? Or why, when is it going to end? And they said, well, it's been 8 years. It's about time we just wrap it up. And we still have little things to, lots of big things and little things to work through. I still have what's known in tarot as a tower moment I got to go through, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to survive one more of those. There have been so many. But what you have to understand is you're building your spiritual blocks. You're building all of the things that will be foundational for you in moving forward. And so my story is different from yours, and yet it's the same. We're here at this time to increase what we can become, to increase who we are here, to face the challenges, the hurdles, the hardships in ways that we may not have ever imagined or thought possible. And that's what I can help do for you. So today, please, like I say, put in the comments who you are, where you're from, and a time that would work for you. Your um, uh, my my other thing that's important to know is that if you are familiar with spirituality or the term karma, that term, reincarnation, or not, or any of those is unfamiliar, then please put that in the comments. You want to know more about that. Um, but what really occurred for me, probably I would say uh, back in the early 2000s. So probably 20, 25 years ago, was a shift from body, mind, and spirit to spirit, mind, and body. And the reason is in was late 90s, I went to the Association for Research and Enlightenment um, facility in Virginia Beach, Virginia. It's the Edgar Cayce um, Institute, Foundation, Library, and School. And right across the banner, across the entrance to their main building, is Spirit is the life, mind is the builder, physical is your result. And so, spirit being getting in touch with your connection with our Creator, our Source, our God, our Yahweh, our Buddha. It's all one energy. By culture, you have a name for it, or where you are, whatever you are on the planet. By you know, religion, but it's all one energy. It's just designed to, it's like Santa Claus is black in Africa. There is a, St. Nicholas around the world for whatever country you live in. And God is the same way. It's a frequency, it's an energy. You may not know it, but you are an energy system. We can hook you up to a battery that has, if it's got a range, that will measure your frequency. And so the things that you do in life, how you think, what you eat, how your activities, your connection with source, all contribute to that frequency. And as most people have difficulty getting in touch or reaching their guidance, all those divine energies that are around us to help us, because they operate up here. Now, if you can see my, my head is up here, but that comes from the heart. That's where they connect you with, right? This body was designed to be in connection with our Creator at all times. However, we've kind of turned that around, and our thoughts drive our actions, and it's backwards. We should get the thought from the feeling, which is here, and from the feeling, we translate that into the action that we're supposed to take. So it's a little different thing. So if we live spiritual life connected with our Creator, then our thoughts come in that may seem absolutely foreign. Um, and if we can hook up with that and bypass our doubt and trust it, it will lead us to what it is we need to be going through. And I had an experience, and all the way back to 1990. So what are we talking? 35 years now? 90, 0, 10, 20. Yeah, 35 years, in which I was in a had a out of body experience in which someone I knew from the other side came, took me out of my body, sat me on a cloud, and said, "You're going to move someplace, and and here's what you need to do to get ready for that." And so I was given a whole list. I was told where I was going to go. I was given a list of the things that I needed to do to the house and whatnot to get ready. And I, when all was said and done, and I came back in my body, I was in doubt. I've never had anything like that happen before, right? Even though I'd had experiences all my life, this was the most um, blatant, and I don't even know. There's no way to describe. When you have an experience of the divine, there is not a single ounce of doubt in your mind. There isn't even an ounce. You couldn't get a paper between that if there was. There's simply no doubt. You know it to be so. It's a truth for you. Well, I came back, and you're reintegrating your spiritual self with this body and mind. And I went and looked up where I thought I was supposed to be going on the map, and I thought, wasn't that interesting? Why would I be going there? And it was Wyoming. I was living and working in the Seattle area, and had a really good job at that time. And so I didn't tell a soul. And there's something of, there's one thing that when you know something, because people are going to start asking you, how is it that you know that? What makes you think, why would you go do? I was being asked to leave my job, really. And so I just kept it to myself, because when you start telling others, that energy that you're is containing within you becomes diluted. It is an energy or a frequency that no longer has that impact of the moment it was delivered to you. So I just kept it by myself. I started, following. It's really interesting because I remembered the very first thing on the list, and I went and did that. And started doing repairs and preparations on the house. But one thing, when I finished one thing, the next one just was right there, as if I had a checkoff sheet that they had given me, and it was all, just spiritually driven. So I didn't have anything to check off. I always found that fascinating. Anyhow, so I did that, and I never said a word to anybody, and that's how things really started to change for me. And we can go into that. So you've got your own story. Put a few things together, that you might even take a paper and a pencil and sit down and kind of chart your life a little bit. Just make some bullets if you want. I mean, that's how easy it is to start it, and to put dates that seem significant on that, and beside each one, something will come to your mind, because if you've got a date, you've got a memory about something, and you can jot that down, or whatever, however many things there are. It may have been a significant, few years or 5 years or whatever it was. So always come to these, if you will, with your water, paper and a pencil. Jot down any notes you have, and we will move through these gatherings together, one by one. And and know that I'm going to speak mostly about the spirit, because you're going to get that from me, because that shift needs to happen. And it may be uncomfortable, it may be awkward, because you may be used to body, mind, spirit. And I've had how many years now to, I would say, in my late 20s to now. So we're talking, what, 50, close to 50 years, let's say 45 years, that I've had to begin encountering things and making those adjustments. Okay, and then let's see, I've had divine um, interventions, guidance, and how the things that we do that stop that. When we're learning something new, a child, they'll you can see them struggling to turn over, but once they've got that down, they want to do it again. If you've ever had children or been around them, you watch them say, oh, like, how do we do that? How do I get over there? And they'll take their dominant side, right, and swing that leg over, and poop, now they're up. And then the next thing you know, they're up, crawling, and so forth. It's the same for us. You're learning a new way of being, a new way of being. And this ascension thing has to do with, so I'm gonna back up here now and give you some more food for thought, that you are, uh, we have within us a genetic code that is quantum in nature. Science has verified this. This isn't anything new. This is nothing out of the ordinary. They just have never known what it was or what to do about it, right? So you have this little quantum thing, and it is in your DNA. Now, uh, uh, it's being called the God gene. There's the God code. There are all these, you can look up all these kinds of terms about God DNA, quantum DNA, the God gene, and there are individuals who have mastered some of these terms and expanded on what they mean. So I'm going to speak generalities for right now, and if you want more information, we'll start focusing on the specific areas you'd like to know more about. But that code is your connection with our Creator. Now, many of you, and I'm not a Bible person. I've read lots and lots of things in the Bible. I haven't even read it from one end to the other, but I get sensing and knowing and feelings about things because of the connections that I have with Source. And and what I know is that at one point I was standing and watching uh, the water and the islands where I was, and I was having this conversation with God. And I said, I how come? I'm having, in fact, I was house sitting at the time. I've lived a great deal of my life homeless. Didn't have my own home, but somebody always took me in and gave me a bed. I'm the most fortunate person on the planet, I'm telling you. I've had my own home a couple of times too, but and I said, why am I going through this? And I heard Jesus, and he said to me a quote from the Bible: look at the lilies of the field and the birds of the air. They don't, my words, toil or sweat to be what I created them to be. Are you any less than the least of these? And you know, when you hear something like that, it washed over me like like a warm spring rain, just like a down comforter. It's so peace inducing for me. It was just a remarkable feeling, a remarkable thing that I experienced. And I knew that what was being told to me was I'm not trusting. I'm not trusting that I'll be taken care of. It's that simple. You want to be trusted. Well, you gotta if you want to trust, if you want something to happen, you can't undermine the trust. You have to believe it with everything, everything that you are. And so that is my forte. It is my forte. Now, people have said, well, you've been going through this. If I said to you 8 years, like I said, they would say, well, why so long? And that's my life. That's my story. It's whatever I have accumulated within a system that limits the frequencies that this body can hold. And so, in order for you to carry and hold a higher frequency, you have to, you have to believe that you're taken care of. When you believe that, you automatically bring your frequency up to here. It just comes up. Every time you're happy, the frequency comes up. Every time you're sad, the frequency drops. And every time you get mad or angry or pissed or upset with somebody who cuts you off, it doesn't matter if it's traffic or in the grocery line. If you get upset, your frequency drops. And we're trying to get our energy right up here, and then right up here, where nothing can interfere with how we feel. Now, I've had lots and lots of people say, because we are responsible for allowing or stopping, right? We're the ones that put up the roadblocks, the barriers, and it's because of those things that are within us that we don't even know that are buried. And I will tell you, one of my favorite sayings is, and it's from a book, feelings buried alive never die. They're buried. You can't see them. They're hiding. You know, if that guy dumped you, and I've been dumped a couple times, dumped you in all the way back in grade school or kindergarten, and then you had it happen again in high school or whatever. Those are things that hurt. You begin to wonder, whether you're a worthy person, whether what did you do to deserve that, or what did you do wrong? What couldn't you have done something different? But we blame ourselves. That's human nature. But it takes a long time when you have the number of hurdles that I've had to overcome to get all of that uh, to where you're transmuting that old energy. You have to let go of it. If you don't let go of it, it's just going to linger in there and it'll keep drawing you back. So remember, I said if you're if you're 30 years old and you're holding on to that anger because you didn't have a proper childhood, and you read a Dear Abby, and Dear Abby is the messenger. I call that God's messenger because I got the message. How old do you have to be before you're going to let go of that? Every time we fall back into a habit, a pattern, something that we're used to, that is a lower frequency, a lower energy, then we can't move forward. We're stuck. We're just stuck in that energy. And so that is our work. Our work is to allow ourselves to get in touch with what it is that's holding us back there or keeps drawing us back. And even now, I have been in, I got so many stories. I don't know where to begin, but I've been in another country for 3 months. And I came, I did not know at the time why, but I was led to look up flights online, and I was looking all over, but I was particularly drawn to Korea and those flights, and I had air miles from when I had a business 25 years or so in an office, and I just accumulated air miles thinking that, oh, when I retire I will go to oh, Italy or Spain or Portugal or something like that, and spend a couple of years and immerse myself in that year, in that, those cultures and the languages and all the history and the beauty and the wonders and magic. And so I just had been accumulating miles. Now, there weren't all that many miles because I didn't travel much, but I was able to get a $19 ticket to Korea at Christmas. Now, don't tell, and it was only like 27,000 air miles. Why would I not do that? And I will tell you, I hesitated because, what are you going to do? But I also had financial constraints. And so, I spent a week just really wanting to do it, but not sure. And all of a sudden, they just came and spoke right into my ear, pull the, it's almost like pull the damn trigger. and so, and so I bought that ticket. And I've been here for 3 months. so you understand what I'm saying? We are, as long as we're human and we're living here, we have stuff, crap to deal with, and so it's up to us to just become aware, right? And our guidance will help us if we'll allow that. So it is, how do we stop those negative thoughts? How do we stop those things that are interfering with our forward momentum? And that's some of the stuff I want to address and work with. So, I don't know about the time on your end of things here, and what you want to talk about, but I want you to know the most important thing is that star seeds, light workers, indigos, golden children, and crystalline children, all of us, all of you, if you're here at this time, you may not be aware of it, but you are here by design. You're here because you contracted in an unseen. It's a contract that you signed that said, I'm going to help. This was the culmination of that, sitting up there on that cloud, looking down and saying, Claudia wants to be Claudia in in America this time, and to be she'll end up becoming an energy worker, a light worker, and a way shore. So there's a progression of things, and she's going to have every challenge that you can imagine. She's going to have sexual abuse, mental, emotional, the physical. She's going to have not be able to complete her education. For there's just going to be one thing after another is going to interfere with that. So she's always going to feel like she's not worthy, like she's not worthwhile, like she really hasn't done enough. But those are hurdles, right? She is going to marry to belong because she doesn't think anybody's going to love her. She is going to divorce because at some point she can't stand can't stand the different betrayals in that relationship. And to me, one of the things that I still have trouble with is, if you make a promise, you need to keep it. And I'm somebody who, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I will do it. I will find a way. I don't know how at the time sometimes, but I will find a way. So that's one of the things that I value. That's just part of me. And that all the other things that you encounter, the things that people say to you and how they treat you, because when they can see that you are not that self confident, that they can trample on you, that they can walk all over you, that they can do and say and be things to you. And what you're eventually going to do is stop listening to it and you'll walk away because you really don't want to hurt anybody. There is no one deserves to be trampled on, to be spoken to in disrespectful ways, to be treated poorly. I can tell you there's very few people. It's very difficult to be any one of those things I've mentioned, the starseeds, the light workers, etc., because there's very few, unless you find your soul family, there are very few that understand one word of the language that you speak. They don't understand the spiritual lingo. And that's what I live every day of my life. So I'm alone. I'm alone most of the time, and I've been asked to leave most places at some point because nobody gets me. Nobody understands that I've been healing for 8 years, and it's just not an easy thing to do or easy place to be. But I'd rather be alone than in the chaos, or with thoughts of somebody who's like, who is that alien? If only they knew. Really, I really am. And so are you, and so are they. Just don't know it. Anyhow, it's okay. I'm at a point in my things still. It isn't that I feel bad for me anymore. I feel bad because that's still going on the planet. We still have people uh, not accepting color of any nature or cultures that aren't like ours. Uh, we still are having a lot of trouble and a lot of chaos. Now, the thing that we do, that you do, and you maybe don't know it, and maybe you do, is that your energy, when you're up in a place that's light and joyful and understanding and compassionate and trusting and loving and peaceful and harmonious and creating that on this planet, that's what our job is. It's to bring that information into the planet so that it envelops the entire planet. And when we do that, we are creating and shifting us, the people of the planet, and this planet. Gaia needs our help too, um, to a shift into a golden era of peace. A golden era of peace. Most people have heard me say, if you get angry, that's fire. That's fire and a low frequency. And it's like if you just say, that neighbor over there is just such a, oh, I'm not going to use foul language, but oh, I guess a shithead would be all right to say. But if we're going to do that, we're dropping our frequency down and we can't light up the planet. We can't light up each other, and our job really is to arrive at a place where we know that no less than the trees and the stars, we have a right to be here, and that we are divinely taken care of. We're divinely guided. We're divinely protected. We are divinely illuminated. We are God's children. Um, we're God's children. And so that's our job, is to be emissaries of that knowledge, that that's what we are, and to be that as much as we can. So with that in mind, I'm going to end today's session here. Do make comments, and I will take notes, and I'll post another time. So if you have a different time that you would like to see, be sure and put that in there, and the time zone. Okay. All right. Thank you for joining me. This has been, I know I did most of the talking, but once we get more comments coming in, then I can address very specific topics for you. So if you'll just close your eyes for a minute and join me. Just know that the angels in heaven that are your guides and guardians are with you. They are very proud of you. They know that it's not easy to walk this planet in joy, in peace, and in harmony, and in love, and to be the light that God created us to be. But as you grow in wisdom, that you are divinely guided and protected, just feel that like a warm set of arms enveloping you, and know that you are loved beyond your imagining. I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, subscribe, and share. Those are the very things that affect and influence the channel. And when you make comments, I get to feed you the information we want, and we can set up Zoom meetings in which everybody can have something to say, and share your story, share your experiences, and we'll go from there. So until the next time, I love you. Thank you for joining me, and be well, be safe. Know that you're way more than you think you are. Bye. Oh, how do I turn it off? Okay. Well,